Hello, everybody. Once again, you're tuned into the music show. I'm Ray Braselton, your host.
And I'm Nick Rita, co-host of that same music show.
Same music show. Right. We're so glad to have you with us. We have a fantastic duo, father and son duo. Plays a jazz, finger-picking type jazz, right. Plays all over Rochester and outlying areas and different clubs and cafes and just even fairs.
They've been playing for quite a while,
yeah.
Since Ted's been, what, 9 years old or so, and
something
now
about that,
he's a ripe old age of 14 or 15, something
yeah.
like that.
And but he's improved unbelievable. Right. I mean, the guy's hands, again, he does a kind of a finger-picking type style in jazz, but I guess that's what you'd say, right?
Well, yeah, it's like a Tommy Emmanuel, a little bit of Chet Atkins type thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. He's really a diligent worker. I think that's what, if he were to say it, that's what he would account his skill, is that he hears something, he just works on it until he gets it. He says sometimes he practices a couple, 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, his name is Ted Nicolosi.
Ted Nicolosi.
He's actually a junior, an honor student at McQuaid Jesuit School. And just thought if any of you guys are watching out there, you can tell him how good he is, because this guy is phenomenal. And his dad actually taught him most everything he knows. His father plays with him too. There's a lot of the lead playing, but they just really tend to complement each other so well.
They do a really good job. Yeah. Of course, we have.
And the name of the group, of course, is called
Shared Genes. Right.
And this is a group that
they'll tell you about that later.
Yes,
later
I'm sure they will.
We would. That was interesting the way they got the name. Right?
Yeah, we'll let you wait for that.
Right. Right.
And of course, we have the rest of our show. We have our great interview with them, but also our showcase.
Showcase in the Uncle Nick's Corner.
Round table.
God only knows what's in Uncle Nick's Corner.
Well,
right? And the round table and the mailbag question. Yeah. Don't forget, write in, call, whatever, email. We'd love to get your questions for the mailbag, and any suggestions you may even have for Uncle Nick's Corner. I'd like to hear, and we would cover anything you'd want. So you're right in.
So stay tuned for another very good show.
Don't touch that dial. You'll be in trouble.
See you in a bit.
We're the father and son guitar duo called Shared Genes, and our first song is called Jamaica Heartbeat.
Hello and welcome again to the music show and our interview segment of the show with Sam and Ted Nicolosi of Share Jeans. I got that right. I got it. And Sam, this is a father and son. I don't know what you call it, duet or what you would call it. What would you call it?
Call it the acoustic jazz duo.
There we go. That was a pretty good name. Must have been your idea, I assume.
Share Jeans. Actually, we were playing a coffee house when he was 9 years old, and we didn't have a name, and there was some news on the networks about cloning and stuff like that, you know, studying the genes. And so the owner of the coffee house said, "Hey, you're Shared Jeans." And that was it.
And that's how it started. What coffee house was that?
It was Jeremy's Java, which is no longer in existence, but so it was over in Webster.
Yeah, it's a great. Now, you guys are from what area are you from?
We're from Webster, yeah.
Well, good, Webster. That's where we're doing the taping today is Webster. So, great. Look, I got several questions for them, and I hope they will bear with me. Well, I think they'll enjoy it. One of the things I wanted to ask was, how did you two meet, anyhow? No, just a joke.
We met at Strong Memorial Hospital.
Strong Memorial. That's what I was thinking. Huh. Well, now to go to our next question, Ted, you must have had a very renowned, well-known, famous guitar teacher in the area to be able to play like that. Who was it?
Oh, it's definitely been my dad, you know. He really started me when I was little, you know. It began with the Beatles, you know. I always wanted to be like him when I was little, and that's really, I think, why I stuck with it. You know, I had to get everything perfect down. You know, I would always go out, you know, try and do yard work or whatever with him, always trying to help.
Yeah. Anything to be around him and try to encourage him to help you with the guitar. You had some strategies with him, didn't you?
Well, yeah. In fact, what he said about trying to get it perfect, sometimes he wouldn't want to come in. He'd want to watch TV, you know, and this is when he was 6 years old. And so I'd invite him in to play with me, and he wouldn't come in, so I'd go in the other room and I'd start playing, but I'd deliberately put in some wrong notes. Pretty soon he'd come barging in and show me how to do it.
Well, he seems to have improved a little bit since he was...
Yeah, he got better.
That's good. Yeah, really enjoyed you guys so far, and I know that we have a lot more to go yet. Yeah, in your career, some of the famous people that you've met, I was wondering if you could maybe share with us a little on those famous people.
Well, I know we don't have a lot of time, but this is it's kind of a strange twist of fate. When he was just an infant, I would put him in for his nap with this one song. I'd play it for like an hour and a half every day in the afternoon. It was a song by Acoustic Alchemy. And 10 years later, he showed me how to play that song. So I think really the music, the sound of the guitar got embedded in his head, and it's one of the songs we do as part of our regular sets now. Then the strange thing is, 13 years after I was doing this, putting him down for a nap, we wound up opening for that group, Acoustic Alchemy.
Now aren't they out of England or?
Yeah, it's a British group. It's our favorite band, and Ted has his favorite solo guitarist.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Acoustic Alchemy, and there's another artist that I know Ted aspires to. Can you tell us who that is?
Oh, well, that would definitely be Tommy Emmanuel. The guy's incredible. You know, I was privileged to meet him, you know.
We had a friend of his that works with him by the name of Lauren Berrigar over here on the show not too long ago, and I hope everybody got to see him. But, yeah, these are people that play a lot of, what would you call their style?
Well, it's definitely finger style, and it's two-party. They play bass with their thumb and melody, rhythm all at once, and that's basically what Ted's doing now.
Well, as a matter of fact, later on in the showcase, we're going to show. I forgot what the name of my own segment was. Our showcase segment of the show, we're going to have you maybe show us a little bit about how that's done, and it's very hard to do as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and just briefly, that was another twist of fate, really, because we had a gig that was canceled, so we went to buy a pizza, and there was a coffee house right next door. So while we were waiting for the pizza, we went in there and jammed and wound up playing there for a few months. And it was there that somebody introduced us to Tommy's music. And from there, Ted learned a whole bunch of it and wound up having an audition with him.
Yeah, we're going to, again, during the roundtable, I've got a picture, I think, of you two, or of you, Ted, and Tommy. Emmanuel, I want to get on air for the people to see. And we have a few other pictures we're going to be showing of you, too. So we'll really have some fun with that during the roundtable. Let's see. Well, I know you've done other radio. In fact, you've done a lot of radio and TV. Can you mention a few of the...
Well, when he was younger, it was a kind of a novelty to see a 9-year-old playing, because we started playing out when he was 9 years old, and it didn't matter to us. And right now we've got about 800 gigs under our belt. But in the early few months, the news media took a liking to it, so we've been on like 14 times. They've had us on, over the years. The father and son thing, they like that.
Well, you've got even a DVD or a CD of what is it, a CD?
Yeah, it's a CD.
Of the radio.
Yeah, once again, we started playing, we like playing on the media, and we've been on the radio about a dozen times easy. And we've accumulated so many tracks that we played live on the stations that we put them all together on a CD. It's called Share Genes Live on the Radio. In fact, we were the first live act on 98.9 The Buzz on Frank DeBlaze's Sunday Night Shakedown.
I think we'll probably have that a picture of your CD up on the graphic so you can see, everybody can see the CD that we're talking about. And also, I know are you playing, what venues are you playing now? Can you tell me, Ted?
We're doing a couple cafes, nice restaurants.
But I would like to mention real quick, we do play at the Trip Hammer Grill often, and the Pane Vino restaurant on Water Street, and the Pear restaurant on Monroe Avenue. So they're high-end restaurants that is more suitable for our music,
Well, now, can you give us a website and maybe any contact information that they can get a hold of you for any jobs?
Sure. Our website is our name. It's sharedgenes.com. That's Genes. And the email is sharedgenes@aol.com.
That's good.
Like also to mention that we've got about 60 clips on YouTube. If anybody wants to take a peek, just go to YouTube and type in Shared Genes, and we're up there with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's great. We're going to have to tune in on the YouTube and see. I've already done that. I'm sure many of you would like to. Any aspirations for the future for Ted, you think? Make you rich?
Well, we're trying to figure out what the next move is. I mean, we played just about every place in town, and actually we played at the Harrisburg Jazz Festival on the outskirts of that last year. So we're trying to get a few things a little further away. But
we want to move them up in the line. A few more TV shows, maybe Jay Leno and a few of them.
We're all ears,
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to thank you for sharing this interview with us. We got a lot to talk about this during the roundtable. We just skirted things, but got some good stories, too, that you've told that I want you to tell everybody. So everybody stay tuned.
Our next song is called Ariane.
back again with the showcase part of our show, and of course that was Ted Nicolosi. Thank you, Ted. Very good. We got a lot of interesting things we're going to go over in a few minutes here and try to get it all in. One of the first things we're going to talk about is what you were just playing, which is a finger picking, I'd call it, but your father called it, what did you call that?
Finger picking.
No, it was, I'll tell you what it was. It was a moving bass line.
Oh, the moving bass.
Yeah, well, that's one element of finger picking. You know, it's the process of being able to really split up, you know, your thumb between the rest of your fingers. Like, I mean, you've got like then you'd add a melody. You know, you're splitting it up. You know, you get your thumb to have independence, per se.
It's like multitasking to me. I mean, you have to do 2, 3 things at once, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're gonna find out your thumb does not want to do what you want it to do.
Why'd you do a piece of that other one there, that Bootleg Escapade?
Well, I mean, this is another one of the songs I played. You know, I'll do it slower, like.
Yeah.
Like you hear. You know, it's kind of like an upright bass, kind of, but.
How'd you learn to, you know, to coordinate that together?
I mean, it's really it's just been just listening to guys do it, you know, watching it, and just, you know, you really just have to keep wanting.
It's just forcing yourself over discipline.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do, I used to fake it, like where I would time which where my thumb should be when certain notes should be. So like, you know, and then it just happened one day. I mean, it was just all of a sudden I realized my thumb could just.
It's fascinating.
I was going to say, I think for him to do that, I mean, I can't do it, but you really got to get all the other stuff out of the way first. You got to learn all the other elements of playing the guitar first, and then I just couldn't believe he just, you know, we were doing all this electric stuff, smooth jazz and all. Then he just.
So he surprised you.
Yeah, but basically he was a good guitar player when he started doing that.
Right. Yeah. Was there anything in a kind of a slower motion that you could show us? Maybe that was pretty good, but.
Like, you mean like moving bass line or another element of finger picking?
Maybe another element.
Well, another thing you've got is the harmonics. You know, Tommy Emmanuel really perfected this style. You know, I mean, you've got natural harmonics. You know, you just count 12 frets up, and you know, just lightly. You're not actually touching the string, but you're getting kind of light over it. And so he took that idea and he moved everything up. You know, you hold a chord right here, and now you just count up 12 frets, and the finger that would go like that, you know, just lightly touching over it. You'd just take this finger, and you'd pluck it with your thumb. And then what Tommy also added is he would add the real note, like the actual, with his third finger. So we would go, you know, kind of alternating between the harmonic and the actual real note. You know, and it creates kind of like a dreamy effect, like a harp.
You actually do that in a song called "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
Yeah, that's you know, I'm really, it's all Tommy. You know, he arranged the song. You know, I mean, he just puts his heart and soul into it.
Tommy is from Australia, and he's actually known as one of the world's best guitarists. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen him live, you know, you just walk away with that feeling of just, you know that he's up there.
Actually, when Ted had an audition with Tommy in May, and like 2 weeks before he had the audition, Guitar Player magazine named Tommy world's best acoustic guitar player. So 2 weeks later, he came over and Ted had an audition with him. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what I did, I played a couple of my original songs for the guy, and he was actually able to, after hearing them once, you know, he had his head in his hands, his eyes closed. He was able to play them better than me after hearing them once.
It's fascinating. Thanks for sharing this with the finger picking and the moving bass line and everything. I appreciate that.
Hello and welcome again to Uncle Nick's Corner. You know, we cover a lot of different subjects on this, and we get in depth on some things we just skim over. A while back I did a little session on the subject of practice, and I know some of you younger folk out there are saying, practice, practice, I hate to practice. But what I find invariably in my years of teaching, those who dedicate themselves to a good practice schedule always make the best progress. There are some certain issues that we really should talk about when it comes to practice. First of all, the frequency. Frequency of practice always is better if it's every day. You take once a day. The time is kind of like secondary to the frequency. Some people practice only 10-15 minutes a day, and since they get at it every day, they make good progress. Some people practice a half an hour a day. I had one student I've had for 4 or 5 years who started out, he told me the other night he was frustrated when he first started out because he wasn't getting it. So instead of quitting, or instead of just turning around and going the other way, he ended up dedicating about 45 minutes a day. And when he practiced, he continued. And you know, as he was practicing, I hardly noticed that he was struggling, because the struggle was taken care of in his practice. And we just continued to go over the things that he needed to work at. Now he's playing in the upper positions. He's doing quite well. So the idea of practicing every day is really a good thing. As far as note reading is concerned, when you learn to note read, the best thing to do is read over your studies once or twice, and then go to another one. Keep going to different ones. Trying not to memorize the songs that you're working on, because once you memorize them, they're no longer good for note reading. In fact, once you memorize them, then you go over them again, and that's when your technique ends up getting better and better. You would be playing something, you wouldn't be as concentrating on the note reading part of it, you would be just concentrating on the technique and the manual part of it, moving your fingers and that. So after you become familiar with a reading exercise, that's the best thing to do. Also, in that same vein, it's probably good to use finger exercises. Now, I have a whole group of finger exercises that I use. Actually, sometimes I incorporate the pentatonic scale, because it's using 1-4, 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, 1-4, 1-4, and it's within the position, and it's giving you that good 4-finger position. Also, there are some things like that. Individual finger work. I have one where I just move the finger from one string to the next. I don't even play it. But all of them are designed to get your fingers in that good 4-finger position. It gives you independent strength, independent movement, flexibility. That's the key to the left hand of the guitar, is that independent movement, the independent strength. So finger exercises are good for that. Also, one other thing as far as practice is concerned, if you're coming into a passage of music that you're having a little bit of trouble with, isolate it. Take a couple measures, take a whole passage, take one phrase, one measure, and isolate it and go over it and over it again until you have it. Then once you have it, bring the things before it, a measure or two before it, and put it in with that, so that you can make the transition from the music that's before it to that problem passage, and then also coming out of it. So take it in sections. Work on the passage that's the most difficult, then hook it together with the passages before and the passages after. But I can't overemphasize the need for good organized practice. In my own practice time, I designate a little time for technique, a little time for learning new material, a little time for theory, a little time for this, a little time for that. And I try to keep it pretty well organized, and I try to hit it at a regular period of time. If you can't practice every day, Try not to get more than a couple days in between, because when you do, you forget what you've done on one practice session, and then if the next one is 4 days later, it's like starting over again. Continuity is the key. Continuity is the key. So at any rate, if you have any questions on this subject or any other subject, or if you would like us to cover any subject, just call, write, phone. We have the email address. I bet you it's going across the screen now as I speak. But get in touch with us. We'd be happy to hear from you. So until next time, we'll see you again.
Welcome everybody again to the music show, our roundtable. I'm Ray Braselton, your host.
And I'm Nick Rita, co-host.
And we're here, of course, with shared genes, father and son. Sam, how you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Sam's the father, right?
Ted,
Ted's
yep.
the son.
Ted, you're the son, right?
We're learning.
They did a great show today. We appreciate everything you
Thanks
showed
for having
us.
us. Thank you.
We now are here for our roundtable to discuss a little bit more particulars on things we discussed during the interview, and get into a few stories maybe. But first, we have to start with our
mailbag
question. And today we have from Jared, and the question is, what makes the Martin guitars so well known and special, compared to other guitars? And well, I think we all have some good ideas on that.
Yeah.
Ted, did you? I know
you have a Martin, don't you, Ted?
Yeah, somewhere around here.
Why do you like it?
Well, I love it. Just the moment I picked it up in the music store, it just felt, it had that right feeling into it. And then I read more into the company. They've been around for 200 some years. Even Abraham Lincoln's daughter, I think, had one or something. So I mean, there's so much history behind the guitar, and it's.
What model do you have?
I have it's called an OMC. It's specifically designed for my style of music. It's called an OMC fingerstyle.
The C meaning cutaway?
Yes.
Okay.
The strings are actually a little bit wider on it to give my fingers more room to get around with all my stuff.
So it's not quite as wide as a classical, but it's a little wider than
definitely not.
Normal steel strings.
Yeah.
Well, is that OMC? It's more today's guitar, not something from years ago.
Well, actually, when I got it,
it's a new model, right?
What I noticed one thing I loved about it, watching Tommy Emmanuel and everything, he does all of his percussion stuff. This guitar actually has a microphone built in, like inside the actual body of the guitar.
Yeah, what kind is that? It's a Fishman?
Yeah, it's a Fishman Deluxe.
Actually, I think I've seen it actually is a microphone with a little wire.
Well, it's got like a gooseneck microphone. Yeah, gooseneck. And it's got a pickup underneath the like a regular Ovation or whatever, and you can actually excuse me.
Like an Ovation.
Yeah. Well, then you can control the mix between the mic and the pickup. Right. I mean, it projects a perfect sound.
Yeah, basically he's got a bridge mic pickup, and he has a pickup at the neck. So he's got two pickup electric or acoustic guitars.
Acoustic, yeah.
Well, the thing is about the Martin too is because it's all wood, and not to because I do like Ovations too, but not to denigrate the Ovation. It'll probably age better because of the wood. And,
it's all about how much it gets played.
Right.
Mine, I've been playing it a few hours every day, so I mean I can already tell. It sounds from the time I got it. We
used to have an old wives' tale when you weren't playing it, leave it beside a speaker that was
playing
playing
I heard
music
about that.
I heard
that there was the same type of music that you would play so that it would age. I think it has something to do with the way the wood crystallizes.
Yeah, like it vibrates maybe.
And as it ages, and I think that's what it is. The old Stradivarius, obviously, that old argument, why is it the way it is? You can't replace the age. So as the Martin or any wooden instrument gets older, it gains in its richness. And some of the old Martins, we were just talking about a D45 that's going for $250,000. See, some instruments will never be that collectible because of the
mass production.
Right. But some of the older ones.
Martin, they're handmade. Everything in Pennsylvania.
They're mainly handmade, I think.
Yeah, in the U.S.
You can go to take tours at their factory and watch how they actually do hand make them, and they say it's quite an interesting tour.
Yeah, and they go through, I think they prep the wood a lot, you know, before
Yeah,
they...
it has to
it's
be
all
air
select
dried.
wood, yeah.
You can't, any kiln drying will like rupture the cells of the wood because it dries so quickly, so so it has to be air dried, and everything has to be just right. They tap the top as they do it. So the Martin, actually these days, one of the biggest competitors of the Martin is a Taylor, which is a really nice guitar too. So those, and
A
these
lot
are
of people don't realize that when they see a $99 acoustic guitar, they look
Certainly,
almost the same.
yeah.
What's the difference, you know?
Yeah, I think
how you make it.
anybody who has a good ear, all they would have to do is play it, and they would see it.
I know. I mean, I was when I was shopping around trying to find the right guitar. I really, I tried a Gibson, Taylor, and none of them seemed to have as nice a bass response. And then I picked up the Martin, and you just strum.
That's the thing with the Martin
just
too.
strum one chord, just listen to it ring out.
Right. Yeah. And it has that unique flat top steel string sound. That's, I mean, everybody else models their sound after the Martin.
Yeah. Right. It's usually a little bit. It seems like the strings are a little bit higher set too than a lot of the other.
It all depends on the setup, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can control it basically.
Does yours have an adjustable neck?
No, it doesn't. Actually, yeah, it does. It has the rod going down. It doesn't have an adjustable bridge.
Yeah, the adjustable neck though.
Yeah.
The original Martin never used an adjustable neck. They used the square reinforcing rod in the center, and they weren't adjustable.
Yeah, which I mean, once it goes through, weathering and everything, it really doesn't. The neck can like get a huge bow in it and whatever.
Well, for the finger style that he does, you want a high setting anyway.
Yeah, a little bit. Right.
So,
yeah.
Well, we have to get on. I hope, Jared, that you had your question answered about the Martin guitars, and don't forget, if you want to send us any email, you'll see at the bottom of your screen our email, and you can just send it to those letters. And
send them in. We
care letters. Yeah. And,
we'd like to answer these questions.
Yeah. We want to talk a little bit about when he was a child, and kind of like did you notice something different about this boy when he was little, or?
No, he's just. Well, the fact of the matter is, we had a son born before Ted who died in infancy. So when he was born, I guess I just felt a lot luckier, that in fact he was premature when he was born. So I just kind of held him a little.
You can tell by his height now that he was.
Yeah. So anyway, given that, his mother would read to him at night, and I would go in and close out when he was in bed. I'd play some chords, and you get that nice acoustic ring in your ear, And
a little osmosis.
Just doing some things to plant the seeds to
actually,
liking the sound,
Funny story. When I was I think I was 5. I'd come home from kindergarten. And I always loved to do somersaults on this one chair. It's a rocking chair, so it would come forward, back. So you'd go up against it. Well, it was actually leaning up against a bookshelf, and on the top of
the book fell down and hit you on the head.
Oh, exactly. On the top of the bookshelf was one of his only at that time, one of his only really good guitars, and so
I had it up there so he wouldn't damage it.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, I go roll up against it, just hear the thing, hit up against the bookshelf, and just bam, thing just explodes.
Thing blew up.
Oh man.
Yeah, I just ran.
So it's almost like subconsciously I'm making him pay. He has green fingers on both hands, so show me fingers.
Yeah, he gets a good shot of that. He started performing at a pretty young age. I mean, and apparently that hit on the head, that guitar hit you on the head, you said, and it kind of osmosis, and you started
just
performing within a few years after that, right?
Well, yeah, it was probably about 4 years later. It was probably around a year after I actually killed the guitar that I started playing. I mean, it was really it was just some cheap little guitar that he had me start on, and then I think he just took a chance. He bought me a nicer Dan Electro, and when I was 7, and from there I just kind of just kept going.
But basically, as I was trying to I only originally just wanted to show him how to play guitar, and be done with it, and go on to something else, be a good student and everything, which he is.
Right.
But in the process of showing them how to play, we used to take them around and hear some of the other guys
That was a good idea.
in town. And after a while, we said, I told him, you know, we're having a cocoa, and I said, you're not any worse than that guy, you know. So we got 10 songs together, and
You worked it.
we started playing out at a coffee shop.
Well, you actually are his teacher, and I commend you for what you've done with him. I am so impressed with both of you.
Thank you.
Just thought that the fact that he spent as much time as he has with you, look what he's done for you. And but you must have taken some patience, I imagine, to teach your son.
Well, it did take a lot of patience. And in fact, there's a video, I think it was on Channel 8, our first TV interview when he was 9. It's on YouTube. And the woman asked him, what does it take to be, I forget the question, you know, to learn the guitar. And she says, well, it takes somebody showing you who is patient and doesn't yell at you.
Yeah.
So I didn't yell at him. And
well, when I was little, you know, I got it in my head, you know, I'm still this way to this very day, where everything has to sound right. You know,
That's
like
good.
I get obsessive over it.
That's
so I mean,
okay.
there's stories of, you know,
In terms of music, that's okay.
you know, my mom said, you know, I'm playing, and I'm like in tears trying to get something to sound right, you know, playing it over.
Well, I guess that's
and
what I was
over
saying
again.
before. Really, before you could learn, you need to learn how to listen. And you listen to some good stuff, it happens. You know?
Well, we've got some pictures here. There's one here, father and son duo. You probably won't be able to catch the picture on it, but maybe you can catch the title. Father and son duo in tune with each other, the Webster Post.
So
and,
this is the first article they did on
First
it.
article?
Yeah, that
And
was 9.
Ted was in the 4th grade. And you can't see the photo there, but the guitar is actually bigger than him.
Yeah, there you go, you see it.
And then we have another one, I'm trying to do them in order, which was done on YouTube a few years later. Was this done recently?
That was done,
is
I was 14 at the time. about-
14?
Yeah.
13.
13.
Yeah.
And this is, the name of this article says, and the name of the father and the son.
It was written by Frank DeBlaze from the city newspaper, and
Gotta love him.
I don't know, something happened. We were playing at a church or something, and he just, when we told him that, he came up with the title, and I don't know, he's got a knack for coming up with just the right words, you know, because it applies to us, you know, father and son.
Well, I know there's also been, there's another article I have here too, but I did want to mention that I know you met Tommy and Manny. We talked a little bit about it during the interview.
Definitely.
And there's a picture here. I think you can make it out better than I thought. Here's Tommy Emmanuel with you. And you met him at one of his shows, I think.
Yeah, you know, he pulled me back into his dressing room. You know, he was running 20 minutes late for his show and everything, and he still made time to listen to me. You know,
They had an audition with him, played 2 songs.
And I understand he played them back to you?
Oh, even better than they originally were. You know, 2 of the songs I wrote. You know, he gave me suggestions. You know, he said, you know, do this instead of this, and it's really helped. You know, make them probably the best original songs I've come up with.
Yeah, he doesn't do that for everybody. The reason that happened was word got to Tommy that Ted copped a lot of his songs. And so he was playing, we do an acoustic alchemy, Tommy Emmanuel music review as part of our show. It's not really a tribute show, but, and so word got back to him, and he honored him with
Well, that is an honor.
audition.
Oh my gosh, what an honor to.
Yeah.
I know real quickly too. You were saying you do acoustic alchemy,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and they're one of your favorite groups.
It's a smooth jazz group.
I mean, I wouldn't call it jazz. It's really, you know, they try to focus on 2 guitars. You know, kind of
All
you know,
acoustic.
Yeah, you know, like we did. You know, you've got one day just doing the background and a lead laid over it. But they've got some really intricate stuff. You know.
Yeah, in fact, you know, before I forget, we had, I don't know where they got it, but we had somebody emailed us from Florida wanting to buy a CD, and they said they heard our song on the radio down there, and I didn't know what she was talking about, you know. Turns out it was an acoustic alchemy song that we did. Somehow the radio station picked it up down there, and she heard it, and so they're playing it somewhere, you know.
Yeah, but surprised as they find their stuff playing in Europe and don't even realize it.
Yeah, but it was us playing their song.
Yeah, that's right.
What got me, you know.
I guess one of the other things I want to mention, Ted was nominated for one of the best solo guitarists in Rochester recently.
Best solo musician.
The best solo musician.
Yeah.
And recently, and I guess that's going to, a few days, you're going to find out,
Yeah.
you know, whether you won that or not. But that's quite an honor and for Rochester to nominate you.
Oh, well,
for
definitely.
that.
Yeah, it's the voting done by the readers of City newspaper. So it's all it's a voting thing, you know, and so Ted made the preliminary voting. So now there's 4 candidates, and there's more voting. There was more voting, and we'll see what happens.
Well,
At that point, it's a popularity contest, though, you know.
Yeah.
So we just do what we do.
If we want to get you, what's your website? So if people want to write in and get a hold of you in any way.
Well, the website is the name of the band. It's sharedgenes.com, and it's Genes, not the pants.
Right,
So,
right.
and then if you want to contact, there's you can go. There's an email link through the website, or you can just email us directly. It's sharedgenes@aol.com.
Good.
We play everywhere. Check the newspaper. We're somewhere every week. And
There we
whether you're
go.
there or not, we're playing. You know.
So in retrospect, if you want your kid to play well, just hit him over the head with
With
a
the
guitar.
There you go.
Let it fall on him.
He hit himself on the head with the guitar.
On that note,
Well, you
gonna
might
make
need
him-
to help
oh
him.
yes, you got to look at the CDs if you can get a close shot of them. These are, you want to mention the names of them for us?
Yeah, we've got 3 CDs that we sell at our, they're only sold at our gigs, and basically what we do, it's kind of like a live infomercial. We'll play each CD live, and people like it, not having heard it before, and they wind up buying a disc. This one here is called Live at Milestones. It's us opening for the British band Acoustic Alchemy, and we're playing some of their music. The one over here is us live on the radio. It's 98.9 The Buzz, Shared Genes live on the radio. And it's all live tracks, one take on the radio that we've accumulated over 3 years. We were the first band to play on the station, so we figured it out enough to record it. And then the one in the middle here is Ted doing, it's called Ted Nicolosi Live at the Mez Music Hall. And it's Ted playing a lot of Tommy Emmanuel solos, fingerstyle solos, all by himself. But if you listen to it, you'll swear you're hearing a bass guitar and some percussion background, but it's all just him playing his guitar. Then as a bonus, there's 2 tracks with Ted and I playing on it as well.
Very good.
And that's it.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, we thank you. We
Thank you,
appreciate
buddy.
it.
I hope you enjoyed it a little bit tonight.
Yep.
And, we certainly did enjoy you.
Thank you very much, Matt.
And Nick, Uncle Nick,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Come join us again. We've got to do some things together. That was fun. Thank you. Everybody, have a good night. Catch you later.